Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the COASTER-net Top 5. I am Andy Rabarchek from Chicago, Illinois, joined once again by my co-host, Mr. Dwain Sponseller from Parkersburg, West Virginia. Tonight's episode is the Top 5 Aero roller coasters. So we are primed and ready to launch, and let's get to the countdown.
5. Desperado. Located in Primm, Nevada, and built in 1994 as the tallest hypercoaster in the world, Desperado reaches a height of 209 feet and drops riders a staggering 225 feet, reaching speeds at over 80 miles per hour. Now, Andy, you've actually got a chance to ride this ride, and not a lot of people do because it's kind of out of the way. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, definitely. It's a little bit, out of the way from Vegas, but I'll tell you what, not only that, it's such a unique ride because the train actually, you start off inside the casino. So you're actually indoors. Like you walk past, the gates, the safety gates, and like it's carpeted and you enter the ride. It's such a different experience. It's completely air conditioned, and then as you get into the car and it takes you up onto the lift hill, then the heat hits you, and it just and you're in the middle of the desert here in Primm, Nevada, and it just hits you, and you're on this out of control ride. Imagine Magnum, but even faster. Desperado, I loved. I was legitimately afraid for my life at many times during Desperado, because of course you might let your safety belt a little loose, might try and get yourself a little space between you and that lap bar, and the airtime you get, especially coming off that first drop, and that first drop is deceiving because, like you said, it's a 209 foot height, but you drop 225. So it's really impressive from that respect as well. And the rest of the ride, you're really getting major airtime on the other hills. You carry your speed throughout. A nice little helix on it as well, through an indoor, like, mountainish facade. Just an amazing ride. I really love Desperado. I know it has its detractors out there. Some people don't like the ride. I thought it was out of control. I thought it had the airtime and the speed that I love in roller coasters. And definitely, I think it should be remembered as one of the best aero roller coasters ever.
Phantom's Revenge. Phantom's Revenge opened in 1991 as still Phantom. And then Morgan was brought in 2001 to take out the loops, to lengthen the ride, and also added new trains that did not have the over-the-shoulder restraints. Phantom lifts riders up 161 feet and drops them at a staggering 232 feet at speeds of 85 miles per hour. Now, I really enjoy this ride, but Andy, you got a chance to ride it, I believe, either last year or 2 years ago. What are your thoughts on it?
Phantom is one of those rides that I didn't quite know what to expect out of it as I was riding it, or right before I was riding it. But I will tell you this, that there are some moments of complete surprise on that ride. And let me also tell you that I have never been hurt so bad on a ride, that I was sitting towards the back of the train in like the second to last row, and on one of those drops, the forces just push that restraint into your stomach so hard, I thought my spleen had ruptured. Now, don't get me wrong. I loved every single second of it. I was hurt for the next 25 minutes. I felt it. But I tell you what, I have never felt a hurt so bad in my entire life, because the intensity and the fun that you have on Phantom's Revenge is just unmatched. I think, now technically, a lot of people might question if this is actually an Arrow roller coaster, being that Morgan did a lot of work. But to be honest with you, that initial, Arrow feel, that initial Arrow, essence is still there within Phantom's Revenge for sure. So definitely, I think it should be on the top 5 Arrow roller coasters ever built.
3.
Tennessee Tornado. Tennessee Tornado opened at Dollywood in 1999. It takes riders up 163 feet, dropping them 128. Tennessee Tornado is one of the best Arrow loopers ever designed, and it was designed by Alan Schilke. Now, Dwayne, this past summer, we both got the chance to ride Tennessee Tornado, so what were some of your thoughts on this amazing ride?
I was a little skeptical going in. I've ridden a lot of these Arrow looping coasters per se. We've had Vortex and things of that nature that are closer, to my home park. So I was really skeptical going in, but everybody said it was a really good Arrow roller coaster. It was unlike a lot of the looping coasters that I'd ridden before. And one of my favorite parts was, the first drop going into that tunnel. It was extremely unprecedented to me because I wasn't looking for that. That wasn't something that was on my radar like that. It was very shocking to me. I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed the Sidewinder loop. If they call it the quote unquote Batwing, but it's humongous, and the speed that you get up, off of that and coming down out of that. The ride. It's only 1 minute and 48 seconds long, but it really felt much longer than that. I know we didn't wait very long on it. They only had one train operating the day we were there, but it still seemed like a lot longer ride than 1 minute and 48 seconds. And believe it or not, I really enjoyed the brown and brown color scheme. I really, because it just fits Dollywood. It fits, it's a kind of a terrain coaster. You got the trees and everything back there in the back of the park that kind of go in and out of that coaster. A beautiful scene as you're out riding it, and you really know that you're in the Smoky Mountains, while you're riding this ride. So definitely deserves to be on our top 5 list for best Arrow roller coasters. And if you haven't had a chance to ride it, you definitely need to get to Dollywood, not just to ride what's getting ready to open up in Lightning Rod, but also for Tennessee Tornado.
For this week's show, we have a very special segment on tap, ERT, Extra Ride Talk. And this week's topic is going to be the defunct coaster from Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, Big Bad Wolf.
Built in 1984, Big Bad Wolf was a suspended roller coaster. It would take riders up to a height of 100 feet and drop them at 99 feet at speeds of 48 miles per hour. Now, the best part of this ride was by far the drop over the lagoon, or I guess almost into the lagoon. And, of course, today that drop is still there. It's just that there's another roller coaster that's taken the place of that, and that would be Verbolten. Now, Andy, I can't remember if you said you got a chance to ride this ride or not. I believe that you did. I did not. So I'm going to throw it over to you. What are your thoughts, and kind of talk a little bit about, why this ride is so famous to so many people?
Big Bad Wolf, I rode it when I was in high school, and it's just one of those amazing rides. Just the theming, I think the first part of it, the theming that you're in this German village, especially at night. People talk a lot about, night rides being completely different. Well, definitely Big Bad Wolf had a completely unique night ride. Fortunately, that's exactly when I got to get my very first ride on Big Bad Wolf, was at night, flying through the German village, going up to that second lift hill and then dropping down to the Rhine River, was just an amazing experience. Now, I had ridden Iron Dragon, in the past, and I really liked Iron Dragon, but Big Bad Wolf just felt like an adult version that a lot of people question, and the suspended coasters by Arrow, saying that they're maybe too, they lack a little bit of intensity, they're a little too kiddish, for the younger riders. But I'll tell you what, Big Bad Wolf, satisfied enthusiast of all ages. I'm really upset that they removed Big Bad Wolf. I understand why. I understand that they were making room for the new expansion of Verbolten, which I also love. But, man, if there's one roller coaster that I could ever bring back, it's Big Bad Wolf. definitely one of those rides that I just wish everyone could get the opportunity to experience at least once.
2,
Magnum XL 200. This first ever hypercoaster at Cedar Point set the world on fire when it was the first ever full circuit roller coaster to break the 200-foot barrier. Built in 1989, Magnum XL 200 takes riders up 205 feet, drops them down 194, all at 72 miles an hour. The most famous part of maybe Magnum XL 200 are the bunny hills on the return run that give you airtime like no other coaster in the world. Dwayne, I know you're a big Magnum fan just like me. What are some of your thoughts on the best hypercoaster at Cedar Point?
Yeah, for a very long time, it was a ride that I would go to first. Like I would literally, it's like what we do for Maverick now. You know, we literally run to that part of the park to get on Maverick at the beginning of the day. But I remember when it kind of first opened in the first 4 or 5 years after that, running to get on Magnum XL 200 because that's what everybody was going towards. And to see it, this big, huge 200-foot, lift hill, this on the skyline at Cedar Point was something that really was awe-stricken because you just didn't see it every single day. And the idea of going up and you're looking down in those really what I think are some odd-looking, coaster cars. The train to me, it's always looked very strange. But I always feel like I'm going to fall out when we go around the turnaround. And one of my favorite parts is looking down at the turnaround and seeing what the ride operators have put in the sand. They always give a message when you're out there. So that's with the rocks or whatever. It's really interesting. It's that. But like you said, the bunny hills are the staple of that ride. And I don't mean to use staple too bad here because if you get stapled in, it's not a fun ride. So I'll just let you know that you might want to keep just a little bit of space if you possibly can. I do the little hand trick. I put my hands down there when the ride ops come around so they don't staple me in because it can get really, really bad for your thigh areas and some other areas down there if you're not too careful. But if you do ride the ride right and you ride it in the perfect seat and the perfect car, on the train, you can get some extreme airtime on each of those bunny hills. And some people like it because of that. Some people put it way down on their list because they don't like it. But like I've always said, a good coaster is meant to throw you around a little bit, just like a good wooden coaster is.
Mm-hmm.
1,
X2. X2 opened in 2002 as simply X. And it was a completely new prototype ride designed by Alan Schilke. This ride would take riders up and put them into cars that would be able to spin in a controlled way as they traversed the track. Starting in 2008, X became X2 and became a completely new 4D coaster with onboard audio and fire effects throughout the ride experience. Now, Dwayne, let me tell you, I know you haven't ridden X2, but let me tell you, you are definitely missing out on this ride. That not only is it completely unique in the terms of roller coasters, but also it's an amazing ride experience all of its own. It takes riders up 215 feet, drops them straight down at 175. The music on board is completely amazing. I thought the experience of X2 was amazing from start to finish. One of those few rides that gives you that complete package in a roller coaster. I rode X2 back in 2011, and let me say that, I loved it when I rode it. As the years progressed, I kind of forgot how good it was, and then this past September, I got another chance to ride it again, and it completely blew me away once again. I had forgotten how great of a roller coaster X2 is. I love this ride. I think one of the greatest travesties in coaster history is the fact that we don't have more of these 4D coasters out there. Parks, I think, all over could benefit from having this type of ride. A side fact on this is that Alan Schilke designed it, and because it cost so much money to design, and it did have a few problems in its early years, that Arrow actually went out of business after designing X2, or excuse me, after they designed X. So now these 4D coasters live on in the company of S&S. So the ones over, in Asia are designed by S&S and built by S&S. But this first one, built by Arrow, really set a new standard for roller coasters, in my opinion. One that you don't see anywhere else in America. If you just go to American parks, you will not experience anything like X anywhere else. And still, it befuddles me as to how the thing works. How it controls the spin and moves riders with that secondary track is just brilliant. Alan Schilke is a genius by far for the way that he designed this roller coaster. Dwayne, any thoughts on you ever having the desire to possibly ride X?
Well, X2. But yeah, I really think that, you know me, because and my dislike of a lot of gimmicks, and obviously big time gimmick coaster here, but everybody talks about this is a ride you have to get on. I'm not real interested in riding the Batman the Ride that opened down at Fiesta, Texas. That looking at it, it really doesn't interest me. It's kind of like looking at the one at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, and I know it's not a free spinning coaster or whatever, but the same kind of idea. It just doesn't appeal to me. But X2, if I had a chance to go ride it, I would obviously ride it. And like you, I would probably really enjoy it. But I'm very surprised that there weren't more of these coasters, even though Arrow was out of business. I can't believe that not another company would pick up on the blueprints of this, see the success that it had, maybe not so much at the beginning, but as the years progressed on, and put them in. I mean, it's been a while since that one was built, obviously 2002. I was graduating high school that year. So it's been a long time, and we haven't seen the progression of these coasters here in the past decade. I mean, we've got the S&S ones now that are popping up. But it's interesting to see. But according to what most people say, I would say, Andy, it probably is deserving of the #1 best Arrow roller coaster in the world.
By far. The speed, the airtime, the intensity, the uniqueness, by far X is completely deserving of our #1 spot on the COASTER-net Top 5 Arrow roller coasters. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as always, thank you for joining us here this evening. Next week, we have an even better topic for you that, once again, you can vote in. And next week is actually going to be the top 5 most intense roller coasters. So, ladies and gentlemen, go out to the polls, get your voices heard, get your votes in, and we'll see you next week on the COASTER-net Top 5. I'm, of course, Andrew Barczyk from Chicago, Illinois.
And I am Dwayne Spunseller from Parkersburg, West Virginia. And as always, may the Q lines be ever in your favor.
Right on, Ride Warriors.